All right. Hello, everyone from the Pacific Northwest. So today is the September frequency forecast that I'm going to be talking about. It's a big one. Our whole fall season is a big one. And I'm so glad that you are all in the river of life with me as we kind of dog paddle our way through this, which I forgot to mention animals. Let me make my notes. All right. So the topic of this September frequency forecast is, when will the chaos ever end? And I will tell you, I've been working with students and clients for 30 years now, and myself. And the one thing that I've learned is that the day you even stop asking that question is the day where you have expanded into states of consciousness where the lows and the highs just have equal value. It's like, oh, well, I mean, what do we usually say? Like, oh, well, it's Mercury retrograde, so it's kind of like that. So, but let's just do a deep dive, because I want to really explain what's really coming through about why this feels like so chaotic, so intense, so visceral, because those frequencies are really, really feeling like a pressure cooker right now. So Spirit showed me that right now, as we head into September, there are three main lines of frequency. So what is a frequency? Well, a frequency it's a wavelength. And those wavelengths can be really short, like this, or they can be really long, like just this nice little movement of the frequency. And so right now, when I'm looking at that lower frequency that's here at the 3D level, it's almost like it's a broad band, and it's like this kind of white marshmallowy type frequency around it, which would be where it dulls the senses. It makes us feel low. It can cause us to feel really heavy. There's this sense of kind of hiding. There's this sense of kind of, I can't cope anymore. I can't cope. I just can't do it. It's like, wake me up, when the storm is over. So we are in that kind of a phase. But then we've got this frequency that's right just above that it's just like really, really high, but it's rapid. So it almost looks like a Richter scale. You've heard me talk about this before. And so it's kind of like, as we go along this Richter scale, it is really shaking things up. And in the world, yeah, it's been shaken up, but it's being shaken up in a little different way. It's almost like, if we kind of look back 6 years ago, that kind of shaking up had jagged edges to it that were like razor blades that just seemed to just cut us at the deepest level of like, whoa, this is painful. What's going on now, it's a little smoother. It actually has some color to it. And that color is very similar to, it's kind of like a mustard color or a Tibetan color. So even though it's kind of going like this, that it's smoother, and it has this way of potentiating, enhancing your potential. So that's a good thing. It just might feel like you're going up and down this roller coaster. And if you've ever been on a roller coaster, all you can do is get really excited and happy, but you can't make decisions. You can only be right in the moment. So we're going to nab onto some of that happiness and that joy and that frequency of change. However, it's also can impact on the earth. So I guess Hawaii just had another earthquake this morning. I know California's had several earthquakes. So there's earthquakes all over the world. And this is where Mother Earth is just really shifting. It's almost like Mother Earth wakes up and just like stretches and expands, and the tectonic plates can shift. Well, you also have these kind of energetic tectonic plates inside of you. Your own tectonic plates are shifting and moving, and hopefully they're going to slide smoothly with each other, but sometimes they don't. And for those of you like me who's been doing this spiritual work for a really long time, those inner tectonic plates, it's not selective. It's not like, oh, well, you have been meditating for 30 years, so your tectonic plates inside are nice and smooth, and you haven't, so yours are going to be more chaotic. It's like we're all being affected. But this is the other thing that I want to mention, because I kind of get this a lot, sometimes in the comment sections. But what I want to say is the reason why I really try to explain these frequencies and what's happening at this ground floor level, because there's a lot of you who are just starting your frequency search. You're just starting that inner process. And so for those of you who've been doing it for a long time, can you remember what it was like sitting in a room full of spiritual people who were talking about chakras and who are talking about grounding, or they're talking to God, and you're just sitting there saying, wow, I don't even know where to begin with all of this. So let's remember where we used to be. Okay. So when will the chaos end? The intensity, uncertainty, confusion, while everything seems so complex right now, this is what we're feeling on the outside, what's going on in the outer world. However, what's going on inside of you is entirely another conversation, where you can be feeling moments of anxiety, moments of panic, depression, chaos, hopelessness, even though remember I said kind of that golden Tibetan mustardy yellow. Now that's got a nice smooth frequency of hope. So where we may have really felt like we were in despair, that despair level is not dropping as deeply for the majority of you. If you are still feeling elements of despair, just hang in there with me. We're going to talk about why that might be happening for you, and what kind of shifts will maybe lighten things up a bit. And I will always finish up with a great meditation to help you at least shift today. Maybe you can get your head above water a little bit. So hello from London and Thailand and South Africa. That must be the night for you. California. Hi, Rebecca. So just kind of taking a look. Sorry, I'm good. The sound went down. Is it better now? Hello from India. Can you hear me? Belgium. So it sounds like I just was told that my sound might be off or not working or clicking in and out. So let me know if you can hear me okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Yvonne. All right. So here's the thing. So I'm talking about that hopelessness and hope. So while honing your coping skills to function faster and faster, but the coping skills that you have just don't seem to be working very well anymore. So however you may have, whatever you've reached for before is about, it's just not working. It's just like, all right, this isn't working very well. So what's happening is that you may be trying to rely on the old coping skills that you developed when you were 2 or 3 years old, or when you were a teenager or a young adult, and you've carried along with you in your nice little satchel across your shoulder all those old coping skills, and they just are not, they're of a vibration and a frequency. So imagine when you were 3 years old And hey, we've all had to survive our families, and our families have had to survive us. So let's just get real about that. And again, I'm not talking about extreme abuse. Okay. That's a different category. But let's just talk about general lives growing up. You've had to learn how to cope with your family. They've had to learn how to cope with you. That's one of the main things as relational beings. We're here on earth to learn how to be in relationship, how to set boundaries with relationship, how to stay in our own power in relationship and let them stay in their own power and relationship. This is what we're learning right now. All right. So, as I said, the coping skills you've learned, they were never, ever meant to help you cope during this great time of change. And so coping mechanisms, as I said, they are of an older frequency. So older frequency, like a generation, like a generation. Sorry, I'm getting these pictures and I'm trying not to get the pictures right away. So, and what did I say here? Coping mechanisms that you have now are from an older frequency, an older generation. So imagine still wearing the girdles, the dresses, the big, big hair where you had to spray it and roll it and you had to go to bed with rollers in your hair, stiff bras, high heels. I mean, can you remember when women had to wear high heels all the time? Yeah. And then how about men? Men wore suits everywhere. I remember from that generation when as a hospice nurse, I really had some older patients that when they knew I was coming to do their assessment, they would make sure that they were nice and showered and shaved, and they had on their suits and their nice dress shoes. And I remember once this lovely, lovely man. Oh my gosh, he was so lovely. And his wife, she goes, "You can't come by today." And I said, "Why not?" She said, "Because he can't get out of bed and get dressed for you. He doesn't want you to see him in his pajamas." All right. So I just slipped that little story in because it's just the sweetest ever. But this is what we're talking about. These kind of old ways that we're kind of bringing into the year 2024 plus. And those coping skills are no longer working. We have to come up with a different coping skill. I was just talking to one of my students who works with a lot of elders at the senior center and goes and helps on game day and has really tried to get them to try energy work to help balance their energy field so they can feel better and they don't have as much pain and they can connect with themselves and have their humor. And they're just like, "I don't believe in that stuff." And again, that's older generation. Everyone is moving into this current state. We are being provided for. These frequencies are providing, they're full of these photonic light codes of higher levels of knowledge that are kind of saying, okay, picking up that bottle of whiskey might not be working for you anymore, but I have a higher frequency now that maybe I can help you sort that out. Or maybe you crying all the time, or you're frustrated or you're angry and you feel like throwing stuff across the room as a way to cope. That's what these frequencies are coming in that are available to you. Now, I'm a meditation teacher, so I'm going to slip in a little commercial break here and say, I think everyone in the world should be meditating. I believe that meditation can be one of your new polished up, spandangled, gem crusted coping mechanism. And so if you haven't done that before, try it. Now, I think that my meditations that we do where we're running energy through the body and it's much more conscious, I really believe it can move mountains. I hear from students all the time saying, "I've meditated a lot and I haven't ever experienced this." However, there is an app that you can upload on your phone called I can't remember. All right, if any of you have ever heard me say it, but it's an app, it's a meditation insight timer. Thank you. Insight Timer, upload it. It's got a gazillion different types of meditations there. I remember once I just was wanting to explore, mix it up a bit. There was a meditation where someone guides you down into the Egyptian pyramid chambers. I really loved that one. All right. So, and Rebecca Fountain, moving meditations like dancing and drumming. Yes, there's just a lot of different ways that you can do it. There's no excuse to not take at least 5 minutes. All right, I'm off my soapbox now. So, styles of clothes change with every single generation, right? All clothes. So this is the same for our coping mechanisms. So why would we think that our coping mechanisms from 20 years ago, 40 years ago, or 60 years ago are still going to work for you during this crazy rapid time? All right. So let me go back to this 3D level that we're talking about, that really thick, broad. It's so heavy, it's kind of suppressing our chakras, it's suppressing our aura. We're getting these back of the neck things. We've gotten this lower back pressure because it's like an accordion. Have you ever been in a deep fog? That deep fog, it feels heavy. Have you ever had a really bright sunny day? It feels light. So right now it's pretty heavy. Thick breathing issues. A lot of people are having breathing issues right now. So right now, as you're sitting there taking this nice deep breath, and just keep taking in deep breaths. But there's a lot about the breath because the whole heart chakra is right now kind of suppressed, but it's starting to open up more. Crying. Oh my goodness. So much emotional crying. Crying is a good thing. Crying is like these beautiful waters of healing. And crying, just let those tears, when you're just sobbing and sobbing and you're like, why can't I stop crying? Just move the tears to the left shoulder, the right shoulder, move the tears through all the organs in your body, move the tears up through your head. Let these energetics of the tears flow out the top of your head and let it just flow down and really rinse off and dissolve old, sad, grief-filled memories. And so lots of people crying, and then a lot of people are dying. A lot of people are choosing this really crazy, chaotic time. They're like, my body was not built to move further. It's kind of like you're walking along with a big group and everybody's kind of hiking through the mountains. And then you just say to everybody, I just need you to go on without me because I've taken my body as far as I can go. I'm going to sit here and eat my sandwich and you just pick me up on the way back. Well, a lot of people are choosing to cross over so they can start helping on the other side. Because when you have a human body that's, let's just say it's just full of grief, or it's full of pain, or it's just fatigued, people may just let go of that body and they just want to feel light again and bright, and they still want to be a part of this great time of change on the planet. So in mentioning that, you all may be noticing that we're missing Warrior Girl today. She's always such a huge supporter of everything that I do here on YouTube. And she wanted to call her mom's passed, and she's hopping on a plane to go be there. And so let's just offer a lot of love and support for Warrior Girl and her family. And Warrior Girl, the reason why she always says smash the like button is because when you hit like, or you make a comment, or you share this video, it signals to the powers that be in the YouTube world. It's like, wow, that's really an active video down there. What's going on? And it's like, maybe more people would like to see it. So that's why she's always a huge supporter that way. All right. So what type of old coping mechanisms do you have? I'm only going to mention a few here, but if you have another coping mechanism to share with others, to help them kind of trigger their memory, you mention it in the comment section. So what type of coping are we talking about? Running away. How many of you run away from problems? How many of you run away from conflict? It's like, I just got to get in my car and get out of this craziness right now. How many of you go into silence? So you get maybe frozen. You can't speak to your family. You just can't even talk out loud. You can't answer your phone. You just go into silent. How many of you use sleep as a coping, where you just have to crawl in bed and it's just like, I just can't deal with the world right now. I'm just going to sleep it off. And you're hoping when you wake up again, you're going to feel better. How about emotional eating, alcohol, gambling, throwing fits, getting really enraged and angry and trying to find somebody to blame? And this is where I wrote animals, because we will think about ourselves and what we're going through, but our animals are going through the same thing as well. We've just had an enormous shift the past couple of days. So one of my little Sadie, who's 18 months old, is, she really had an upset stomach. And so that's really happening. And I'm noticing, like, my little Sadie dog, who's 18 months old, she's not a cuddler, but this week she has literally climbed up, and she's 70 pounds. She's literally climbed up in my lap and tried to tuck her head under my arms and make herself super small. How many of you do that? You just go into a ball, you try to make yourself super small. All right. So these old coping mechanisms, they're going away, they're dissolving, they're crumbling, they're screaming at you to run while you're trying to override that voice, that coping voice, and reach for another option. So another option can be yoga. I just saw somebody mention Qigong. If anybody else has a way where you've kind of embraced a new style of coping and letting go of old styles, what are those new styles that you have embraced? So when you're asking yourself or yelling on the inside of your head, when will all this chaos end? I just lost it. Okay, here we go. You must, I know you're not going to like this. You're just going to have to get better at letting go, like really fast. You're going to have to get better. And I know you don't like to hear this, and I know that you hear this over and over again, but truly, honestly, the faster you can get at letting go of the issue, the faster you can move into a different frequency. And when you're hanging on to the issue, you just cycle through that frequency. It's just like a dog chasing its tail, right? You're just going to circle around a little whirlpool. You're going to stay right in that older frequency. So the sooner you can just like let it go, it's like, look, this is just not where my head wants to be. I'm moving to a different place. If you want to swirl in that, you swirl in that, but I'm not swirling in it with you anymore. All right. So, but sometimes some issues are not resolvable, are they? Sometimes there's some painful, hurtful things that have happened, or you can resolve it, but the other person can't resolve it. So sometimes you're not going to be able to resolve the issue in a situation in the way that you would like to. And especially for those who've been reaching for that higher bar, really working on yourself and your self process, taking personal responsibility. I really try, that's probably the first thing that I do, no matter what's happening. It's like, okay, what part am I responsible for, and what can I do about it right now? And that's where I put my energy. But there are some things that are just not resolvable. Like if you had, a family or a spouse that was abusive, and you're trying to understand why did that happen? Why were they like that? It's not going to be resolvable. Or you want to have a conversation because you just want to feel them take responsibility. Sometimes that's just not going to happen. So those are a little bit harder. So therapy, going to therapy, meditating, going to yoga, qigong, walks in nature. Walks in nature are the be all end all. I have never ever witnessed anyone walking into nature really depressed and walking out really depressed. It's like maybe you don't have a smile on your face, but your shoulders are up and back a little bit more. Nature's the elixir of life. But did you know, I read an article, I think it was in Psychology Today, about regular activity heals everything, even anxiety and depression. So, all right. Now, often we hear about the star beings. And so this is my thing. So I'm a psychic clairvoyant. I look at the energy field. I'm going to be talking more about the energy field over the next couple of months. But I'm also a nurse. And so what I know is many people are often reaching for the star beings. The blue beings of light have this incredible light frequency. They want us to all feel light and purposeful and uplifted. Many who are Christian call upon Jesus, Mother Mary, to help uplift, to help clear things, to help save things. And when we raise our frequency, we think we're going to land in a place of utopia. So I'm going back to that question, like, when is this chaos going to end? And when you work really hard and you're doing all the right things and nothing seems to be going right, and you're like, I thought we would be feeling a utopia at this time. So I asked Spirit about this yesterday because I know what this is like. Believe me, when I started 30 years ago and Spirit said, we're going to go through this great time of change, everybody's going to be awakening, everybody's going to be intuitive, everybody's going to be in a place of love and joy and everything. No, I did not see what we're going through right now. Maybe as a psychic, I didn't want to see it, right? But this is what Spirit said. Here's the thing. Spirit said, Nancy, you are in a utopia. So I was like, what? And so Spirit said, well, right now, everything feels chaotic and so visceral that we often can't see the sunflower growing right next to us. Okay. So you may be waiting for utopia, but what the spirit world just told me yesterday was you're there. You have this utopian frequency around you. But when you have your head down and there's hard things going on in your life, it's like, it's hard to raise your head and look around and say, wow, there's some pretty beautiful things here. So what Spirit was saying, those sunflowers are showing up for you everywhere. Can you imagine what it would be like if you would see more of the calm than you did the chaos? Can you imagine what it'd be like if you saw more of the calm and less of the chaos? So, I wanted to share with you. Okay. So there's a show on television and I really like it. I love the show. And it's called Alone. And it's where the I don't know, like 10 contestants. So they go out into the wilderness. So they're currently in Antarctica and it's currently very cold there. And they're down to 3 contestants now to see who's going to win the $500,000. All right. So one of the contestants said, oh, dang nabbit. So one of the contestants said, he's laying there in the cold in his sleeping bag and he goes, but this is the thing. Oh, and he's from Labrador, Canada, FYI, and he's a fisherman. And he said, but this is the thing about trouble. It's how you deal with trouble that's going to get you through things. So this is what Spirit is saying. It's like how you deal with the trouble, how you deal with the chaos, how you deal with, those inner anxieties or those depressions. it's like, that's what's going to get you on the other side. And then as he's laying there and it's like, it's really cold, he says, how you handle the cold is what's going to make the biggest difference. And then he got out of his sleeping bag and he went fishing. So I love that hardiness, because he's a big sea fisherman, in Canada. And it's like, just quickly handle the problem, quickly handle the problem, quickly move for the solution. And so it was like, he lost one animal, got one piece of meat that he had got stolen by another animal. And so he was like, all right, that's frustrating. That sucks. I'm going fishing. So anyway, it's a great show if you've never watched it. All right, Donna Boost, my sister there, she's saying she loves Alone. It turns out she and I watch a lot of similar programs. Okay, so this is what the frequency forecast is about September. The chaos is not changing, but its head screaming voice is getting quieter. It can't influence you as easily as it did before. It's an exciting time, but it doesn't feel so exciting sometimes. So while you let go of old coping and you start to build new foundations of coping, dealing, and handling, listening to and helping that other voice become louder. You've got this. Often I'll check in with my spirit, especially when it's like, this happened this week. I was called and given so many problems to solve, so many fires to put out. And it was just like, all right, I'm going to pick up the phone and call this person. All right, I think I'll drop over here and I'm going to address this. Okay, I'm going to do this. So I still have to do those things as well. But that you're making that voice, that problem solving voice louder, and that chaotic, I can't take another step, quieter, and meditate. So then this is the final thing before we get into the meditation. I am then shown the fall colors here in the Pacific Northwest as stunning symphonies of light. Now, we don't have colors changing just yet, but I can feel that it's coming. This was Spirit's way of telling me, look for the color. Look for the color. So, and then Spirit said, always look for the color. So, we're going to be doing a meditation, but this blue light of truth, I just want to insert here my free gift of the meditation for the blue light of truth that's dissolving lies. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a secret. This is no joke. What's going to be happening in the next 6 months is no joke when it comes to shedding your internal lies, shedding those internal programming that just was never true to begin with, shedding those belief systems, shedding other people's projections. What's going to be happening rapidly is no joke. And you're the only one that can take charge, put your hands on the steering wheel, grab a hold of that rope that's moving you forward, get on that ski lift that's going to carry you up. You're the only one that can make that choice. But you're not going to make that choice from a place that's hard, like it was when you were still wearing girdles. It's a new place of frequency where it's going to feel easier. I want to say I promise you, but I can't make that guarantee. But inside it feels that strong. So we are, so download, I put the link here. You definitely want to reach for that free blue light of truth and start dissolving those lies, because the type of lies that are being dissolved are going to go far beyond the first 5 that I mentioned. When Spirit tells me that the level of truth that's going to be present for us comes from a place in the galaxy that's beyond the beyond, this is what we're working with. And we don't understand it, but our knowledge, I mean, imagine 6 months from now, when you're thinking about the word lies and you're thinking about the word truth, you're going to embody in your bones a whole different answer. So in September, we've just opened up the fall frequency forecast. The equinox accelerator, it's going to accelerate your vibration and your frequency, where I do a group reading for hundreds or hopefully 1,000 people. I've never had 1,000. I'd love to get 1,000, because when we come together, it's a real boost. So that'll be on September 22nd. The link here for the tickets are then. But then I'm going to have a big surprise for you, because we're going to have the biggest shift of all. Well, not, okay, I just exaggerated that. It's going to be really big. It's going to be around mid-October. I'll be giving you some information about that. But I'm laughing because in the spring of 2025, there's going to be a really, really big one. But this truth frequency is going to be around for a few years. So you're not going to miss the boat. And even if you're unconscious, you're not going to miss the boat. So you've got that. You've got the meditation today, the free meditation. You have the fall equinox. We have an event that's going to be coming up. It's going to be very big, like the solar eclipse was. That's going to happen mid-October. And then our, of course, winter solstice, and then a big event in the spring of 2025. All right. Who wants to dissolve some old coping mechanisms? Wind's Circle says, and more. So, Ann Diamond, I am going to answer you. So, what causes depression? In my experience as a nurse and working with people, a lot of your light is in the past, trying to resolve issues. So, if a lot of your essence is in the past, it ends up being in this really low depressive frequency. So in this meditation, I'm going to ask you, Anne, to pull all of your light out of the past situations, because you just can't do anything about those things anymore. It's just not possible. But in the present moment, you can do something about where you are now. So I'll include that in the guided meditation, okay? And Leah's saying trauma causes depression, but I've worked with people who've had the most incredible life and they have paralyzing depression. So, all right, let's go ahead and close your eyes and turn within. Whew, I can feel that. As I'm looking out and I'm watching, I'm surprised at how embodied you are, how much you're coming down your bodies. I view that as a very good sign. A very good sign. So I want you to have a real conversation with your body right now. And in that conversation, share with your body. It's like, I know we've had some coping skills, coping mechanisms that we've used all of our life, and it has served us well. And I know, body, you've been able to rely on this coping mechanism, but I'm going to need to take this coping mechanism away or start to make it smaller. So body, I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to get scared. I promise you, I'm going to be introducing some new coping mechanisms so that we still have new coping mechanisms to work with while we're letting go of the old ones. So right now, make a commitment to yourself, your body. What small change are you going to make right now that can be a new coping mechanism that can be supportive to you? So just let your body know. What might you do right now? And for me, that simplistic new coping is to look for the color. Look for the color. All right, say hello to your higher self, your spiritual self that does not reside in the 3D level. Your spiritual self is not impacted by the chaos in the world. Your higher self's not impacted by your depression, your anxiety. However, your higher self has a list of things to help you, to uplift you. So it's time to start listening. So let's just say hello to our higher self. Ask your own spirit to help you to start to dissolve some of the old, outdated coping mechanisms that are appropriate for you. We do not want to pull the rug out from underneath you today. You don't need to let go of all of them, but ask your spirit to help you to select which ones need to be done. Your spirit is bright and light and brilliant and wise, but your spirit can, my goodness, know how to have a lot of fun and how to laugh. And we have that beautiful garbage truck coming by. The timing is perfect to take away those old, as Leah's saying, crutches, those old coping crutches. I like that word. So your spirit knows how to be imaginative and fun and playful. So right now, activate your imagination, which will enhance your intuitive, subtle senses. So right now, create a grounding cord to the center of the earth. A grounding image. It can be a tree, it can be a waterfall, it can be monkeys, it could be elephants. My grounding yesterday was bread dough. Bread dough. That's what my spirit wanted me to use. If you ever want to try bread dough, it's awesome as a source of grounding. And go ahead now and ground yourself to the center of the earth. You're creating stability with your grounding, but you're also allowing a drain to start draining some of the old coping mechanisms that maybe you're just not even using anymore, but they're just sitting there in the energy field. When you get to the magnetic core, create another image to help yourself really anchor in, wrap around, support, strengthen, and then set your intention to start draining and releasing any old, outdated coping mechanisms, coping crutches. That is intended for right now where you are at this point in your life. And remember, your spirit's going to help you to know which ones to release and which ones you need to keep in place for a little while longer. And remind yourself of how old you are, just in case some of those old coping structures were created when you were quite young. Now invite this blue light of truth. And this blue light of truth, as a cosmic celestial light that comes from the beyond, invite it to come all the way into the room where you are and let it start flowing through your auric field, through your body. And those coping mechanisms that are not aligned with your truth will easily and effortlessly dissolve and drain down your grounding. Remind yourself of today's date and your age and repeat it. Did you know that when you let go of all this old energy, the frequency of Mother Earth is able to rise? And Mother Earth has always told me that when it's released to the center of the earth, it's recycled back into a usable frequency that we can use again. While you're dissolving, can you sense, see, feel, hear, or know those beautiful sunflowers around you? Can you look for the color while you're letting go of the old, outdated, dark, sticky, mucusy energy? Yes, you can do both at the same time. And then notice how quickly it releases while you're focusing on and enjoying the color of life around you. Take a nice deep breath in. Remember, this frequency moving into September and October and the fall is also about the breath and allowing our lungs to expand, to breathe in the color. I'm just watching one more ball of mucus in many of you in the group, and it's right in the solar plexus. So open your heart chakra and then allow yourself to release it out of your power center. Those coping mechanisms to help you hang on to your power, help you hang on to control. It's a big ball of, looks like a bowling ball size of mucus. Go ahead and let it pop right out of your solar plexus if it's appropriate for you, and drop it down your grounding. All right. It's going and it's dissolving, but go ahead and thank your body, thank your spirit, thank everyone who is on the live call and who will be tuning in later to watch the replay for their frequency support of moving forward in September. Remember that just go ahead and open your eyes and look around and stretch, and you can always come back and do this meditation as often as you wish. But remember that blue light meditation that I recorded will also be a very good support for you. And remember this golden mustard color of hope, that this frequency, they're saying the frequency of hope is there, but the chaos is there as well. So in September, you're just raising the voice of hope and you're lowering that voice of chaos. You can do it. You can do it. You wouldn't even be here on earth if you couldn't do it and if you weren't hand selected to be here. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So don't forget the free blue, the Equinox Accelerator. My event for October hasn't come up yet, but you will want to sign up for all of it because it's going to be a wild ride. And this is just going to help you stay nice and steady. All right, everyone. Yeah, the meditation, sorry, it is on our website, but the link is right here. You want to click this link that will take you to a portal that, or it's like a page that has my teaching and the meditation there as well. All right, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday. I get really excited to talk about everything that's happening because this acceleration is exciting. All right, everyone. Take care. Take care. And lots of love to Warrior Girl and your family right now. Bye-bye.